Okay, guys, thanks for coming, and I will go ahead and get started here. For any of you who don't know, I'm Ed Carter, and I'm the architect for Trader Vision. And I don't really have much of an agenda. I want to cover a couple little things, but then we'll take it where you want to go. We'll probably plan a couple trades and just talk about things in general. I have tried to make things larger for people who have asked. We're having trouble seeing. I have gone full screen with Trader Vision here. We'll get to it in a minute. And I've also scaled it up 20%. I can scale it up some more if I have to, but there's kind of a point where people say it's too large. I can't see enough of the screen. I see, only chunks of it. It's one of those levels where you just got to try to find a balance. So hopefully we've made it this time. Let's see what we can do here. The first thing I want to mention is that the workshop, the Wednesday weekly workshop for 3/21, so not next week, but the week after, we're going to move that to 6 p.m. because we've got a room conflict. Another group, Rick is presenting to another group in the room, and so we'll just push ours back a couple hours. He can't really move that one that he's sent out to. It's an outside group. Secondly, I've been getting, and it's difficult for me to explain this. I will try real quickly to show this. But when you have registration, I've been getting questions about what do the red diamonds mean. So if I had a red diamond right here, I don't know if you can see where my cursor is, but if I had a red diamond with an exclamation point to the right-hand side of my license number or to the right-hand side of my email address, what that means is that you've input something that is, it doesn't meet the mask that we put in. So in other words, almost always what it means is you've copied and pasted, and there's an extra space that you copied and pasted. So either before the W or after the last character of your license number, you have copied one extra space before or after. That typically is what happened. So check for that. Same thing with your email address. That's what the red diamonds mean. And I'm working to make that a more descriptive, let's call it an error message for you. Let's see what else. Also, wait on, I guess generally speaking, if you're having a problem, try to hang on. We're very, very, very close to putting out another update. And one of the issues that people have talked about is importing version 1 trades, and that is frozen for them. It freezes during the import. Please just wait. That is solved in the next release. And so if you can just hang on, I'm trying like mad to get this done, but I want it to be tested and clean before I send it out. Otherwise, I'm just fixing one problem by causing another problem. So I need to test it before I send it out. So if you can wait, you will get a next version, and it will be greater than what you have now. So it'll be, I'm working on a version, I'm not sure it's the one we'll release, but 50.115 on the Windows side, and it's probably something like 50.50 on the Mac side. The last thing that I want to cover before we get started here is resizing and moving things. And it's hard to do at a full screen, so let's move this down. If I wanted to resize this, I should do it from the bottom edge. Okay, you can't, based on the controls that we're using, you can't resize from the top edge. You can resize from the left side and the right side and the bottom, but you can't do it from the top edge. So that's why it doesn't work for those of you who have been trying and saying it doesn't work. And I guess that's about it. Let's go ahead and step forward and do some some slides, some demos, and some examples, and then we'll get into your questions. Let's minimize that. Okay. Is there anybody here who has not seen Trader Vision before? If not, I don't need to go through an overview, and we'll just get into planning some trades. So let me just ask that question. Judy, what you need to do is, let me grab that link. You should have received an email from Rick. And you need to go to that that link and order version 2, and there is a coupon code that I will get you offline here, but you should have gotten an email explaining all of that from Rick. And that's processing that order will then send you an email with the download link and the new license number for version 2. Okay, so David, you're new. Okay, guys, if you could please, since there's several of you, maybe you can send me an email. I will post my email at the end, but here at tradervision2020.com. Let's see if I didn't do any typos. Yeah, just send me an email there, and then I will reply with the information you need. But essentially that's it. There's a coupon code you need to get. You need to place the order, and then that gives you the link with okay, so you've already ordered. Again, I will look into that afterwards. That's not something I can solve here, but we'll have to talk offline. Is what it comes down to. Okay, so both Judy's and Ben and whoever else had been there, please send me an email to that address, and I will get you figured out offline. And I will do that this evening if you can send that to me. Okay, since we've got a couple new users, let me just do a quick walkthrough. Trader Vision, for those of you who don't know, is an end-to-end trading support system. It's based on a strong trading process that's meant to walk you through from setting goals for yourself long-term that break down into short-term trading goals that can be used to help you validate and manage trades. There's a dashboard that shows you where you're at in your account, how much of your account is in long trades or short trades, and how much of your cash is available. It shows you all of your open trades and where you're at in those trades in terms of percentage in dollars. Shows them to you graphically if you prefer that. You can look at your most recent performance, and it defaults to 30 days, but if you want to look at your one-day performance, you can do that. In this account, there's no activity, so it's nothing for one day. And gives you some statistics on that. We have charting as well, and a basic charting package. There are a lot of additions that I want to make to this, improvements to clean this up. But as of now, it's a basic charting package with a number of indicators you can add. If you like a chart, you can add it to a watch list from the chart as well. If you want more data, you can, increase the number of candles that you want to look at. Right now, we're only using daily candles. We will change that in the future as well. So I will not kid you. I will tell you that right up front, I personally am not happy with where we're at quite yet with the charting. That's one of our weaker areas, and I will improve that. watch lists, and you can have a number of them. Again, the same as with the chart, where you can add a chart to a watch list. You can add tickers here. You can also highlight one of them and open a new trade from here, or go back and look at the chart for one of them from here if you want. Let's see, account manager is essentially, let's change this to sample account. It's essentially intended to keep your account in sync between your TraderVision data and your brokerage data. So you see your open trades, you see any open orders. Once we have the brokerage integration, you would have orders that had not yet been filled or canceled. You can add transactions. For example, let's say your brokerage charges you a monthly fee, or you decide to take money out or put money in. You can record that here again to keep TraderVision in sync with your brokerage. We will not, I can show it to you, but there's not much to show at this point in time. This is a general overview of your performance against some let's see, wow, some comparison indicator, in this case the SPY. Then there are a bunch of pre-canned reports. Potentially, James, about 2.5 years ago, I reached out to TradeStation about integration, and they were not ready at that time. They just flat said they weren't prepared to be able to do integrations. But about, I'm going to say 6 weeks ago, I got an email from them, maybe it's 2 months at this point, saying that if I'm still interested, they are going to get the integration portion from their side. They're going to start working on it during the first quarter. I have not heard from them since then, but they are, as soon as they finish the piece on their end, it's called an API, an application programming interface, which allows integration. As soon as they complete that, then yes, we could do integration. We will do Tradier and through TradeHawk. We will do some integration to Thinkorswim. Again, the problem is Thinkorswim basically is, since Toronto Dominion Bank has taken them over, they're run like a bank now, is what it comes down to. And so they talk, but they don't do anything with integration. So all we'll be able to do with TOS is to do their real-time data, which is an Excel tool that was built back when Sosnoff was running the company. Let's see. Yeah, Peter, tell you what, sorry if you don't like it. Interactive Brokers is another that we'll do, and we'll go from there. Trade log, and let's just put a ticker in here. Trade log is a list of all your trades, so it is essentially, as the name implies, a log of your planned open and closed trades, and then for each one, this is the information that you see. Basically, it provides you everything you need to do to validate, plan, and then execute a trade, logging all that information, including things such as your notes, as soon as all the adjustments you've made, attachments such as chart images or spreadsheets or PDFs or whatever. So let's just go through one here and look at it. So 5 nines, Actually, no, they're not, Nini. Charles Schwab is not willing. They're very bold about saying they own the customer and they don't want to integrate with other software. They want to force customers to stay internal to their applications only. Nestle, my display don't show a second header. I'm not sure I understand that comment. You don't see this line with those. That would be because you have it perhaps it only shows one of them. It has to show at least trade log. But that's because I've got all the widgets open. You can close these widgets. You can open multiple copies. So for example, if I wanted to have multiple copies of trade log open so I can have multiple trades open at the same time to compare them, I could do that. And that may be the difference of what you're looking at. I'll look at that in a moment. Let me walk through what we've got here. So we've got basic trade information here. You put in the ticker, what direction you want to trade. You set up your stop loss according to one of the three methods, or I'm sorry, your position sizing according to one of the three methods that we use. I personally use the max dollar loss to stop, so that all of my trades have the same basic amount of risk, amount of loss if I'm stopped out across the trades. Another way to do it is all my positions are the same size, so $10,000 per account. And a third way to do it is I want to have basically the same volatility risk for each trade. So that's the position sizing rule. I don't really want to get into it today, but we've got a video that covers it under the tutorials, which you can get to from help tutorial videos or from the website under the tutorial videos from the menu. We now pull up the next earnings report, and you can see this one is not the next one, but it was a relatively recent one that reported on February 21st, so we can just project forward. They're not going to report until about the third week of May. We see that the market bias has been trending up long term, but in short term it's trending down. The ticker itself is trending up both in the long and in the short term. And our moving averages here, the T line and the 34 EMA, are stacked correctly for us for a long trade. We've got plenty of liquidity. I don't have a candle signal today, and it certainly looks like we're perhaps looking at some we're looking at some resistance just above here. Let's look at what we would put together for a trade plan. Let's say that we're looking at a breakout trade. I'm pretty sure I looked at this earlier. Yeah, it's got we're at all-time highs, so we don't have resistance levels that we can put above. But let's say we're looking at a breakout retest to buy, and we're going to have a stop someplace like this, and a first target based on we had between a 23 and a 38% pullback. Let's just say that we're going to look at something like that as our first target, and a second target up here. So we're looking at an entry someplace around 32 and a quarter, a stop around 31.35, and about a 35.20 first target, and a 37 and a quarter second target. I'm just looking at these so I don't forget the numbers. $31.30, let's call it. Okay, let's drop back to Trader Vision. So let's plan it out with one entry and two exits. And I said our entry is going to be about 32.25 with a stop around 31. Let's call it 30. A first target around 35.20 and a second target around 37.25. It tells me to keep $125 to the level when I'm stopped out. I can buy 129 shares, but I know for this sample account it's a small account and I would violate my position size rule if I did that. So let's just say that I buy 50 shares. I don't know what that's going to do for us. 50 shares is going to put just over 3% of the account into this trade, and I'm comfortable with that. Let's just look at a general plan where we're selling half of it at the first target and half at the second target. As you notice there, at the first target, I'm getting about 3 to 1, 2.94 to 1. And if I look at all targets, my second target is going to get me just under 4 to 1. And that's all great, but the total gain with this layout is 195 bucks, just under 200 bucks. And my trade goal for this account is to make 250 bucks per trade. So unless I can reorganize this plan realistically and get myself up over $250 potential profit, why would I do it? Even if it's got a great reward to risk, it's not going to get me to the goal I need to make per trade. So let's see if we can reorganize this to do that. Let's see. Whoops, let's try that again. Basic math was failing me. Closer, but it's probably just not going to do it. Yeah, pretty much if this first target is a valid number, if that's a valid target, if that 38.2 fib extension, then this trade isn't going to work. About the only way it's going to work is if I take it and I do all 50 shares at that second target. So if I can do that, I can just about make the 250 per trade that I need to make. I'm still only risking 50 bucks, but the only way I can make this trade work with my goals is to go with that swing for the fences mentality. Personally, I'm not typically going to do that. So this is a trade that I would probably end up passing on. Does anybody else have any tickers they want to look at? We'll trade one out for them. If not, I'll look at a couple we looked at in the room today. ARKK. Okay, so we've got a doji continuation pattern here. Somebody might call it a doji sandwich. Let's look at a weekly chart. We're at all-time highs, it looks like. So it looks like we broke out and we retested this a couple times. I like that. We got a doji continuation, which typically leads to further bullish action. And since we're at all-time highs, we'll use fibs. At this point, again, we're probably looking at, we had a 38 pullback, so we're probably going to have something like not far above. Right in here is going to be our first target. So this is probably going to be a no-go from that standpoint for me. I'm expecting the trend to continue, something like this. But again, because we had a pullback here more than 38.2 off the 50. I'm expecting us to hit some resistance pretty close above, someplace in here between the 23.6 and the 38.2. So that's probably not a lot of room overhead. Where can I put my stop? Well, it's going to be right down here below this level that we've tested the last 2 days and proven support. So if this is my risk, if my risk is something like, 3%, 2.8, 2.9%, maybe on an inside day I could get an entry there, but on a continuation day, it's probably not going to work. I'd have to go up here like 5%, so I would have to say my first target is up in here to justify taking that. So I don't even think, unless we can get an entry down in here, and in which case that would work. So if we could do an entry, if we could get an entry on an inside day, like that, that might work. And let's look that up. Let's say that we enter about, let's call it 43 bucks with a 42.40 stop and a first target up here. Let's do a first target here, 44.15, and a second up here about 46.30. Let's see what that looks like. So we add a new trade. ARKK. It's got enough liquidity. I was worried about that. Let's look at one entry here. What did I say? 42. I guess. No, that was a stop, 42.40. So the entry was 43. And the first target was 44.15. Second target was 46.30. If that's what our plan looked like, again, it tells me I can buy 200 plus shares to keep below 125 risk, but I know I'm going to be pushing it at 50 with a small account. For argument's sake, let's say that I can handle that 4% of my account. If I use those two, I'm getting less than 2 to 1 to the first target, just less. And overall, if I make the second target, I'm getting just under 4 to 1, about 3 3¾ to 1. But my problem is I'm only making 111 bucks again against my $250 goal. So if that first target is valid, it's probably a pass. If it's not, and that first extension is the 60%, 61.8% extension, again, I still don't see it working because we're at only a 7 2/3% gain there. So I don't see that as a win. So I would have to really be comfortable that this long-term trend is going to continue and look at this as not a swing trade but a longer-term trade for it to make sense from a trader vision standpoint. SYNT. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. Another J-hook setup here. Let's look at the... Yeah, okay. So you can see I've already dropped on some weekly resistance numbers. I think somebody pointed this out in the room. I don't remember who. Maybe Moto. I don't remember. But somebody pointed this out in the room as having this huge gap to fill. And you can see we've got some areas we would put in some potential resistance there. Let's go back to the daily. And yeah, we kind of match up here with the 38.2 extension. We kind of match up pretty good here at the 100% extension. So those are probably my targets. We also match up here at 161.8. So these are the areas I'm looking at as targets. This one's more of a stretch. Because we tested and failed today, I'm going to watch for a breakout and a retest to prove. Now, why can I put my stop up here as opposed to down here? You know, this is the proven, proven support level down in here someplace. Because I'm not going to buy on the breakout. I'm going to buy on a retest that proves this is support, so I can put my stop up here tighter below it. So when you think I'm doing something crazy, that's what I've got in mind. Because we're in the gap here, we don't have as much in the way of resistance. Let's use that conservative approach there and a conservative approach there. So this is a longer term trade unless we get lucky on this high velocity run, those 3 or 4 days there. And what does that do for us? So we're looking at, on a bounce, 27 3/4 with a stop about 27.20 and a first target of about 30.20 and the second target up here about 34. That is probably going to work. New trade. SYNT. We've got 3 bullish factors and 3 bearish factors, so that's the first thing that is a little bit concerning. But let's just say that we're good with that. By the way, these are all based at the moment on my own scans. So the signals and the patterns are based on my scans, and this will be coming in the future here to allow you to enter your own scans. So if you want a looser version of what equates to a morning star or a bullish engulfing or whatever, or a looser version of what it, or a different version even if you have patterns that are not listed by me, you can do that as well. So again, let's do, what was it, 27 3/4. Whoops, let's try that again, 27 3/4 with a stop down here to 27.20. And that first target's going to be about 30. Oh, 20, I think I said. And I think I said 34. Again, it says 227, but I also know with this account, let's just do 50 shares. Well, let's do 60 shares. At that first target, I'm getting an excellent about 4.5 to 1, but because of the small shares involved, I've got to hit that second target where at that point I'm almost 8 to 1 to make my 250. So if I don't think I can make that second target, this trade again is probably a pass based on this account size. But that's, again, it's going to be different for you. You'll have a different account size, and you may have a completely different target. It would. It would normally. But again, remember, I'm not saying that we should take this trade today. And this is giving me the indications for today. So you can plan this trade. Let's say that we like this plan and save it. And now you watch it. Add the ticker to your watch list. Again, we're looking not for a buy first thing in the morning. I'm looking for a close above and a retest to prove that that level, that breakout level, is support. And that may give me a signal that day. It may, at that point it will be a J-hook pattern, and I will have a bullish pattern, and so that will eliminate one of the bearish indications. So if this was eliminated as a bearish indication, and maybe I had a bullish signal, so now maybe it's 4-2, or maybe at that point the long-term bias is turned up, and maybe it's 5-2. So, at the same time, the market short-term bias may have turned positive. So this is an indication of what is happening today, and we're not projecting into the future. So if you're looking for a signal to enter, again, I was looking at entering 27.75, so it's above where we're at today. So yeah, that's how you look at it. And you'll notice I've got a ton of planned trades in here. First of all, it's a demo account, and so I don't follow through on a lot of these things. But most of these things, even when my normal account is typically how I use it. I have more planned trades than I have open trades, far more, and more than closed trades, if you either one. That's just the way it is. I plan a bunch of trades, and I only take the ones that come to me. That's my trading approach. Very straightforward. And that brings up something that I had a support request on, so let's just go through and do that. Let's go back here and just highlight how do we get rid of trades when we do our housekeeping. So you highlight a trade, you click on the three dots over here, which is options, and then you select delete trades. It asks you if I'm sure you want to delete it. I say yes, that trade's gone. So that's how you would go through and clean up. So on a periodic basis, like once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever you want, you can go through and select the ones you no longer want to watch and delete them. And that way they're out of your way and things are less cluttered. So hopefully that helps as well. We're getting close to 5. Let me try to sneak in one more, and then any questions you've got, I'll stick around and answer questions as long as you want to stick. So somebody wanted to look at Regions Financial as well. Nice trend. You can see that it's been trending something like that. Let's get rid of this. And we've got a level there. Let's look at 7. Yeah. So we go back further, we can see that we've got some levels here. There's probably one someplace in there. Now let's go back to the daily and see what that looks like. So at this point, we've got no signal, and we've got clearly a resistance level that we're at right now. So if we break through it, and then we bounce up off of it, it has proven to be support. We could look for an entry there. And at that point, we can have a stop fairly tight below. And what will we be looking at as targets? Well, we've got a target up here, but that's an awful long way above, unless it's a long-term hold. So I would probably be looking again. I'd have to use fibs without too much else in the way of tools. And we did a 50% retracement there. Okay, I'll buy that. So let's say that I'm buying up here. and my stop is just below that level. So I'm looking at a 2015 entry. I'm just picking these numbers real quick, and a 1975 stop, and a first target, let's say first target right in there, and a second target. Well, I'm probably going to put it up here, and if I did a third target, that would be out here. So let's say that's 21, and then 2160 and 2250. So what does that plan like? Regions Financial. Uh, 4-1, so it's a nicer situation here. It would be a more bullish chart on the breakthrough as well. We would get rid of that potential bearish indication there, so it would become bullish. Plenty of liquidity. I did not realize they traded that much volume. Yeah, so let's just stomp this one out real quick. 1975, or no, 2015. 1975 is a stop. 21 bucks, 2160, and 2250, I think I said. 300 shares would keep me below 125, but again, because of this account size, let's try 70 shares. I don't know. It's still, let's make it 80. That'll work. And we'll just say we tried 20 shares there, 30 shares here, and 30 shares there. Well, if I got all three of my targets, I'd get over 4-1. But again, the gain just doesn't measure up against my goal. So I would probably pass on this. But if you had a different goal or a different account size that you could have more shares, that changes everything. So it's really individually. KPW, will the M bias, market bias or symbol bias recalculate automatically? Yes. Yes, this stuff is all populated automatically based on the chart. And market bias is based on whatever you have the account set to compare to. So in this case, this account is set to compare to SPY. It might have been set to IWM, the Russell 2000, if that's what I wanted to measure the account against. In that case, market bias would be based on the Russell 2000. There, most of the markets are similar, but not always the same. On my plan trade yet? Plan trade. So you mean on the trade log itself? Did I close this? Yeah. Okay, I've got it. Yeah. So in this list, they will update automatically. However, there is something you need to be aware of. Let's go down to that last trade. What was it? RF? Yeah, RF. You'll notice right here, if you can see my cursor moving, I've got a drop-down box. This is the current view. After I enter a trade, there are additional views, so that when you come back to this trade record, you can see what the market conditions were, current day, at the time of entry, and at the time the trade was closed. So you get multiple views. So until you enter, yes, it updates. And then after that, when you're looking at the trade, it depends on what you want to look at. So if you come back a year from now, You can look at what that ticker is now, but that doesn't really help you in trying to figure out what the heck was I looking at back then. So you can look at time of entry or time of close. Since I haven't entered anything yet, I only have this one snapshot, but typically you'll be coming back and you'll have multiple views when you're coming back to a closed trade. The total dollars in your account. Okay, so let's close the trade. You go to, well, you didn't need to do that, but you go to Account Manager and select your account. For example, here's just one I did the other day, and it started on XYZ date, and I want to change it to a different amount. Let's just say, for argument's sake, I wanted to make it a $200,000 account to start with. That's all there is to it. I just change that amount and save. Or if it's a new account, you click, let's save this first. If it's a new account, you would click Accounts, New, and you could set up sample account 2, and let's say it has 500,000 as a starting account balance. Let's make this one half a penny per share. 5% loan rate, 3% multiple long. Let's make that 125 bucks. Save. Okay. So that's all there is to it. And now if I go to look at that new account, well, there's no transactions. How am I going to do this? Let's go to Dashboard, Sample Account 2. It tells me I've got a $500,000 account. Nini, if I understand the question, when you make changes to this page, I think you mean the Account Manager page. Yeah. What does it do to the trades you have entered? Because the changes, or if you mean, again, if you mean, I'm just going to conjecture here. What was that trade? RF? Let's look at that RF trade. So if you're asking if this percentage is updated, is that what you mean? I mean, a planned trade is a planned trade. So if you plan the trade out as, if you set your goals based on a $100,000 account, and you either need to replan your trade goals to update this, or for an existing trade, it's already set, but for a new trade, it will update. So if you had planned out a trade with $125 max loss, let's say, and then you change the account values, and you're setting the default for future trades, and it says default in there. So Account Manager details, it's setting the defaults, and that means defaults for future trades. That doesn't mean go back and reset all the existing trades. So if you've already planned out a trade, or already opened a trade, or already closed a trade, those values do not update. By the same token, if your the percentage of your account is based on what the account value was at the time you planned the trade, or at the time you entered the trade. So new trades will reflect the new values, but existing trades reflect the values at the time they were planned or set up. Well, it'll be in the recording, but I can go through it quick. Let's just close this. You select a trade, so let's just say I want to get rid of the GE trade. Click on the 3 dots, which is Options, and delete trades. It asks you, are you sure you want to delete it? Yeah, it's gone. Got that, Greg? So how does it impact your stock analysis for your year or 6 months? I'm just thinking here a moment. So if you had $100,000 account, let's just do an example, and your goal was to make $125,000, or 25% gain. Don, that's coming very soon. It's not here right now, but yes, it will be. I apologize, but it's not here right now. But Nini, to that question, if you have a $100,000 account and your plan is to take it to $125,000, and then I don't know, you have some sort of windfall and you actually add $50,000 to the account, you have to replan your goals. How does it work in performance? If that's what you're asking, you will see a step function. So you can see a small step as the account is improving based on trades, but you will see a step function there. And that's just based on the account having a big, it would have a similar step function to the fact whether you had a huge windfall trade or you put $50,000 into the account. So that will be problematic to percentages, but it is taken into account in terms of trade gains. So it's not a trade, and so it's not it's not recorded as an average trade gain, or it's not recorded as an average as part of the dollar or percentage gain per trade or loss per trade. Does that make sense? So it impacts the overall account value, and it's reflected on the screen as a step function of the chart, but the average per trade, whether it's percentage or dollar, is not impacted because it's not shown as a trade. It's shown as a separate transaction. It's an account transaction, not a trade. I'm not sure if I answered your question well enough or not. So. Well, no, you make the changes when you need to make the changes. It will not change the evaluation of what you do on a per trade basis. It will, like any other accounting change, it reflects the overall account value. I mean, so that will change, and there's just nothing you can, that's part of taking money out or putting money in. But that doesn't change the evaluation of what you're doing per trade. What you need to be paying attention to is the same parameters that you use to plan out your goals. What's your average win size? What's your average loss size? What's your number of trades you're doing per month? And what's your win ratio? Those are the 4 variables that are most responsible for your performance. And then all other thing is the trade size, which is what percentage of your account are you putting into a trade. So you need to manage those things, and it shows you here what you're doing on a per trade basis. And additions to the account, like I put $50,000 in, or I took $10,000 out, or whatever it is, that will not be reflected in the trade values. It's only reflected in the account balance. So I'm not sure I answered because your original question was about stock analysis and adding, default values and adding money or changing defaults has no impact on an existing stock and only on changes to the variables. How will it factor in? Nini, if you're asking how will an addition to your account change these four variables, it will have zero impact on those four variables. The same thing with a deduction from your account, a withdrawal. Yeah, Mary, no, this is currently stock and ETF only. We will bring out an options version next, and we may at some point go into Forex and commodities. It'll be forever before we even consider doing anything with cryptocurrency. But Forex and commodities and then Forex will probably be one way or the other after options. But at this point, I'm still worried about getting the stock ETF version to the point I want and getting the options version built. I've got designs done, but we have not even started development. But altogether on one chart, I guess I'm not sure how you would chart, for example, Forex and stocks and options on a single chart. But yeah, theoretically, if there's a ticker that does that, okay, yeah. But one tool, I understand what you're saying. One tool to record all those different types of trades. Yes. Eventually. That's where we're headed, but as of right now it's not there. So please don't think it is. I don't want to mislead anybody. Okay. We've been here about an hour. I'll stick around and answer questions, but I'm going to cut the recording off here momentarily. Yeah, Mary, it would, but it depends on our data source, and at that point we would need to be down into probably day trading. So on a daily chart would probably not be reflective enough for trading Forex. It's been my experience. I could be wrong, and I don't know anything about trading crypto, but that's not really a priority. Commodities is probably another that's going to be day trading, so it's going to probably need to be down on the tick level or 1 minute type of charts. Yeah, that's eventually this will be an all, it's meant to be an all-inclusive tool. Okay, guys, let me turn off the recording here.